one grieves the same. There are some commonalities in grief, but people react differently. And, some of the common things you would see are tears, sometimes unexpected tears, strong feelings about things that really aren't a big deal, things you would not think of as a big deal, but strong reactions to them, irritability, talking about the person that died. For adults, it looks like maybe withdrawing from, their regular activities, social isolation. Those are some of the symptoms for adults. For children, and an important point is that for adults, a lot of adults don't recognize that children grieve. A lot of adults don't necessarily think that kids understand death, and so they don't think that kids will recognize when someone dies, or that they don't know that person died, or they don't understand it, so they don't acknowledge that children have feelings about that. But children actually grieve. They grieve those losses just like adults. It doesn't necessarily look the same. Sometimes it looks like tears, and it looks like the unexpected crying, but it also looks like non-compliance. It looks like behavior problems. It looks like irritability, just like it does in adults. It looks like angry outbursts. It can look like social isolation and withdrawal. It can be poor grades in school. It can be, hyperactivity. It can be also the same kinds of eating too much or eating too little, sleeping too much or sleeping too little, which are also common symptoms for adults. So children can grieve the exact same way as adults. Now, children will talk about the person who died, or they may not talk about the person who died at all. They may ask lots and lots of questions. They may ask no questions. They may want you to tell them the story of the person's death. They may not want you to talk about it at all. I mean, just like with adults, the experience is very personal and it's very different for every person. But it's important to acknowledge that they have that process too, just like adults. Talking to someone about your loss helps you to experience it and experience your feelings about what this person meant to you, or what this particular loss, if it's not a death, what that particular loss meant to you. What did that job mean for you? What did that, marriage mean for you if it's a divorce? How do your feelings about this loss impact your life, and where do you go from there? How do you redefine what's happening in your life? So, talking to someone else is an incredibly valuable part of healing and rebuilding after a loss. For children, that can look like using art for therapy. It can look like using play therapy. Group therapy can be very powerful for children when it comes to processing a loss, because for adults and children alike, there's a lot of power in being in a group with other people who are experiencing what you're experiencing, because it doesn't feel so alone. You don't feel quite so isolated. You don't feel like you're the only person who's dealing with what you're going through. So it's a very powerful means of intervention to be with other people who are going through it. And that's what counselors like myself are here for, is to help people that when you are experiencing these losses in life, to be here to help you work through those and to heal and move past them. And I would say that when, specifically for children, it's important to work with a therapist that has some training and understands child development and how children experience loss. And there are therapists out there that do have training with children specifically and can help them, children and adolescents, with loss.